The rain hammered against the glass windows of the 42nd floor as Marcus Chen stared at the city lights below. His reflection in the window showed a man who had built an empire from nothing, transforming a small trading operation into CryptoVault, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges. But tonight, that empire was about to crumble. Marcus had always been different from other exchange owners. While they flaunted their wealth with Lamborghinis and penthouse parties, he remained in the shadows, calculating every move with the precision of a chess grandmaster. His users trusted him with over $12 billion in digital assets, believing their funds were safer with CryptoVault than in traditional banks. They were wrong. The first sign of trouble came 3 months earlier when Marcus noticed unusual activity in the exchange's cold storage wallets. Someone had been moving funds in small increments, amounts so tiny they wouldn't trigger the automated security systems. It was elegant in its simplicity, and Marcus recognized the technique immediately because he had designed it himself. Sarah Martinez, CryptoVault's head of security, had been with the company since its early days. She was brilliant, ruthless, and completely loyal to Marcus. Or so he thought. When she knocked on his office door that Tuesday morning, her face carried an expression he had never seen before. "We have a problem," she said, closing the door behind her. Marcus looked up from his multiple monitors displaying trading data from around the world. "What kind of problem?" "The kind that could destroy everything we've built." Sarah placed a tablet on his desk, showing blockchain transactions that made Marcus's blood run cold. Over the past 6 months, someone had been systematically draining CryptoVault's reserves. Not the hot wallets that handled daily transactions, but the cold storage vaults that were supposed to be completely offline and secure. "How much?" Marcus asked, though he already suspected the answer would be catastrophic. $4.7 billion. The number hit Marcus like a physical blow. Nearly 40% of user funds had been stolen, and somehow, no one had noticed. The exchange's balance sheets still showed the full amount because the thief had been replacing the stolen cryptocurrency with worthless tokens that appeared legitimate in the system. "Who else knows about this?" Marcus demanded. "Just me. I discovered it during a routine security audit that I run every quarter. The fake tokens are sophisticated, designed to fool our automated systems, but they can't fool manual verification." Marcus stood and walked to the window, his mind racing through possibilities. CryptoVault's reputation was built on transparency and security. If word got out that they had been operating as a fractional reserve for months, it would trigger a bank run that would collapse the entire exchange within hours. "We need to find out who did this," Marcus said. "I already know who did this," Sarah replied quietly. Marcus turned around slowly. "Who?" "You." The accusation hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Marcus felt his carefully constructed world beginning to tilt on its axis. "That's impossible. I would never. The transactions all trace back to wallet addresses that only you have access to. The timing coincides with your private meetings with investors. The stolen funds were moved to exchanges in countries where you've been traveling." Marcus sank into his chair, the weight of the evidence crushing down on him. But he knew he hadn't stolen the money. Which meant someone else had access to his private keys, someone who knew his travel schedule, someone who could manipulate the blockchain evidence to point directly at him. "Sarah," he said carefully, "you're the only person who could have orchestrated something this sophisticated." Her expression didn't change. "I know." The admission was so casual, so matter of fact, that it took Marcus a moment to process what she had said. "You're confessing." "I'm explaining. You see, Marcus, you made a fatal mistake when you built CryptoVault. You trusted me completely. You gave me access to everything because you believed I was loyal to you personally rather than to the money." Marcus reached for his phone, but Sarah was faster. She pulled out a small device and placed it on the desk. Signal jammer. No one can hear us, and no calls are going out. What do you want? Marcus asked. I want you to disappear. Sarah opened her laptop and showed him a detailed plan that must have taken months to prepare. False identities, offshore accounts, transportation routes, safe houses in countries without extradition treaties. It was the perfect escape plan for a cryptocurrency exchange owner who had stolen billions from his users. I've been preparing this for 2 years, Sarah explained. Every detail has been planned and tested. You're going to take the blame for the theft, and then you're going to vanish completely. In exchange, I'll give you $50 million and a new identity. And if I refuse, then I release evidence showing that you've been stealing user funds for months. Law enforcement will freeze all CryptoVault assets, users will lose everything, and you'll spend the rest of your life in prison. This way, at least some of the money gets returned to users, and you get to live. Marcus studied Sarah's face, looking for any sign of the woman he had trusted for years. But she was gone, replaced by someone calculating and cold. How long have you been planning this? Since the day I started working here. Did you really think someone with my skills would be satisfied working for someone else forever? I've been moving money slowly, carefully, building my own empire while yours provided the perfect cover. The beautiful simplicity of her plan became clear to Marcus. She had used CryptoVault's own security systems against itself, creating a theft so sophisticated that it appeared to be an inside job by the only person with sufficient access, the owner himself. Where's the money now? Marcus asked. Distributed across hundreds of wallets, mixed through privacy coins, converted to physical assets. It would take years to trace even a fraction of it, and by then, both of us will be long gone. Marcus realized he was trapped. Sarah had constructed a perfect frame job, and his only choice was between taking the blame and disappearing, or taking the blame and going to prison. Either way, she won. What about the users? They trusted us. They trusted you, Sarah corrected. And trust is a luxury in this business. They should have known better than to keep significant amounts on any exchange. The next morning, CryptoVault users woke up to find their accounts frozen and a brief statement on the exchange's website. Due to security concerns, all withdrawals have been temporarily suspended pending investigation. Within hours, the cryptocurrency community was buzzing with speculation. CryptoVault had always been considered one of the safest exchanges, with Marcus Chen's reputation for transparency and security. The sudden freeze sent shockwaves through the market. 3 days later, blockchain analysts published their findings. They had traced massive outflows from CryptoVault's cold storage wallets to a network of addresses that eventually led to exchanges in countries known for loose financial regulations. The evidence all pointed to one conclusion. Marcus Chen had been systematically stealing user funds for months. But Marcus was nowhere to be found. His penthouse apartment was empty, his cars were gone, and his passport had been used to board a flight to Singapore 3 days earlier. From there, the trail went cold. Security cameras showed him entering Singapore's airport, but he never appeared on any outgoing flights. Law enforcement agencies across multiple countries launched investigations, but they were chasing a ghost. Marcus Chen had vanished as completely as if he had never existed. Sarah Martinez held a press conference as the new interim CEO of CryptoVault, promising to work with authorities to recover user funds and rebuild the exchange's security systems. She appeared composed and determined, the picture of a loyal employee trying to salvage her company's reputation after her boss's betrayal. "We are committed to transparency and accountability," she told the cameras. Every user will be reimbursed to the fullest extent possible, and we are implementing new security measures to ensure this never happens again. Behind the scenes, Sarah was already executing the next phase of her plan. She had established a new cryptocurrency exchange in a jurisdiction with favorable regulations, funded by the billions she had stolen from CryptoVault. The new exchange would be smaller, more exclusive, catering to high-net-worth individuals who valued privacy over transparency. Meanwhile, Marcus Chen was learning to live with a new identity in a small coastal town in South America. Sarah had been true to her word, providing him with $50 million and documents so convincing that even he sometimes forgot his real name. But the money felt like blood money, and every luxury it bought him was tainted by the knowledge of how he had obtained it. He tried to follow news about CryptoVault, but it was too painful. Users had lost their life savings, retirement funds, college tuitions for their children. The cryptocurrency market had crashed in the wake of the scandal, wiping out trillions in value and setting back adoption by years. What Marcus didn't know was that Sarah's plan had one final twist. 6 months after his disappearance, a new cryptocurrency exchange called Secure Chain launched with great fanfare. Its CEO was a mysterious figure known only as Sarah Martinez, who claimed to be a former security expert with years of experience in cryptocurrency protection. The exchange's marketing emphasized security above all else, promising users that their funds would be safer than anywhere else in the world. SecureChain's launch was perfectly timed. The cryptocurrency market was beginning to recover from the CryptoVault scandal, and users were desperate for an exchange they could trust. SecureChain's sophisticated security measures and transparent operations quickly attracted billions in deposits. Sarah had successfully transformed herself from the mastermind behind one of the largest cryptocurrency thefts in history into the CEO of a legitimate exchange. The stolen money had been laundered so thoroughly through her new business that it appeared to be legitimate investment capital. But Sarah had made one critical error in her calculations. She had underestimated Marcus Chen. Despite living under a false identity, Marcus had not been idle. He had spent months studying blockchain analysis tools, learning to trace cryptocurrency transactions with the same obsessive attention to detail that had made CryptoVault successful. Slowly, methodically, he began to unravel Sarah's money laundering operation. The breakthrough came when Marcus noticed a pattern in SecureChain's operational wallets. The exchange was using a specific type of cryptocurrency mixing service that left subtle fingerprints on the blockchain. These fingerprints matched transactions from the CryptoVault theft, creating a connection that could be proven mathematically. Marcus faced a choice. He could expose Sarah and clear his name, but doing so would reveal his location and likely lead to his arrest. Or he could remain hidden and let Sarah continue to profit from her crimes. The decision was made for him when he discovered that Sarah was planning to execute the same theft again, this time targeting SecureChain's users. She had built her new exchange specifically to be robbed, creating a second massive theft that would dwarf even the CryptoVault scandal. Marcus realized that Sarah had never intended to stop with one theft. She was building a criminal empire, using her reputation as a security expert to attract victims to increasingly sophisticated scams. CryptoVault had been just the beginning. On a humid Tuesday morning, every major cryptocurrency news outlet received an anonymous package containing detailed evidence of Sarah Martinez's crimes. The evidence included blockchain analysis showing the connection between the CryptoVault theft and SecureChain's funding, communications between Sarah and money launderers, and financial records proving that she had been planning the second theft for months. But the most damning evidence was a video recording that Sarah had made of her confession to Marcus, which she had kept as insurance against his potential betrayal. She had never expected that Marcus would be able to obtain a copy of the recording and use it against her. The video showed Sarah calmly explaining how she had framed Marcus for the CryptoVault theft, how she had stolen billions of dollars from users, and how she planned to repeat the scheme with Secure Chain. Her casual attitude toward the destruction of thousands of lives was chilling. Within hours of the evidence being released, law enforcement agencies around the world launched coordinated raids on Secure Chain's offices. Sarah Martinez was arrested while trying to board a private jet at a small airport outside the city. In her possession were hard drives containing the private keys to wallets holding over $8 billion in cryptocurrency. The arrest sent shockwaves through the cryptocurrency community. Sarah Martinez had been seen as one of the industry's most respected security experts, and the revelation that she was behind multiple massive thefts destroyed what little trust remained in centralized exchanges. But the story didn't end with Sarah's arrest. 2 weeks later, a new anonymous whistleblower emerged with even more explosive evidence. This person claimed to have access to Sarah's private communications and financial records, revealing that her criminal network extended far beyond cryptocurrency theft. The whistleblower showed that Sarah had been working with corrupt government officials, traditional financial institutions, and organized crime groups to launder stolen cryptocurrency through legitimate businesses. The network had processed over $50 billion in illicit funds over the past 5 years, making it one of the largest money laundering operations in history. What shocked investigators most was the sophistication of the operation. Sarah had recruited computer scientists, financial experts, and legal professionals to build a system that could clean dirty money so thoroughly that it became indistinguishable from legitimate investments. The revelation triggered investigations in dozens of countries and led to hundreds of arrests. Traditional banks that had unknowingly processed laundered funds faced massive fines and regulatory sanctions. The cryptocurrency industry, already reeling from the exchange scandals, faced calls for complete regulatory overhaul. Meanwhile, Marcus Chen remained hidden in his coastal town, watching the chaos unfold through news reports. He had achieved his goal of exposing Sarah's crimes, but the victory felt hollow. Thousands of people had lost money they couldn't afford to lose, and the cryptocurrency industry's reputation was in ruins. As he sat on his balcony overlooking the ocean, Marcus reflected on the chain of events that had led to this moment. He had built CryptoVault with the genuine intention of creating a secure platform for cryptocurrency trading. But his trust in Sarah Martinez had been his downfall, and that trust had ultimately led to one of the largest financial crimes in history. The irony was not lost on him. In an industry built on the principle of trustless transactions, the biggest thefts had been committed by exploiting human trust. Sarah had betrayed his trust, and users had trusted both of them with their money. Marcus knew he could never return to his old life. Even if he could prove his innocence, the damage to his reputation was irreversible. He would always be remembered as the exchange owner who disappeared with billions of dollars, regardless of the truth. But he also knew that he had helped prevent an even larger theft by exposing Sarah's plans for Secure Chain. The second theft would have stolen even more money from even more victims, and the evidence he had provided had led to the dismantling of a massive criminal network. As the sun set over the ocean, Marcus made a decision. He would use his remaining money to establish a fund for victims of cryptocurrency theft, distributing it anonymously to people who had lost money in the CryptoVault collapse. It wouldn't restore his reputation or bring back the billions that had been stolen, but it might help some of the people whose lives had been destroyed by Sarah's crimes. The fund would be managed through smart contracts on the blockchain, ensuring that every transaction was transparent and verifiable. It would be a small step toward rebuilding trust in cryptocurrency, one victim at a time. Marcus Chen had vanished into air, but his legacy would be determined by what he did next. The cryptocurrency Kingpin was gone, but perhaps something better could take his place. 6 months later, cryptocurrency victims around the world began receiving unexpected payments from an anonymous fund. The payments were small compared to what they had lost, but they came with a message: the cryptocurrency community takes care of its own. Justice may be slow, but it is inevitable. The fund's existence sparked speculation about its source. Some believed it was funded by guilty exchange owners trying to buy redemption. Others thought it might be a government program designed to restore confidence in digital assets. But blockchain analysis showed that the fund's capital came from wallets that had been dormant since the CryptoVault collapse, suggesting a connection to the missing exchange owner. Sarah Martinez, meanwhile, faced trial in multiple jurisdictions for her crimes. The evidence against her was overwhelming, and her former associates had turned against her in exchange for plea deals. She was ultimately sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, though investigators suspected that billions of dollars in stolen funds were still hidden in wallets she had never revealed. The cryptocurrency industry slowly began to recover from the scandals, but the changes were profound. Regulatory frameworks were strengthened, security standards were raised, and users became more cautious about where they stored their digital assets. The era of blind trust in centralized exchanges was over. Marcus Chen's story became a cautionary tale told in cryptocurrency forums and financial conferences. Some portrayed him as a victim of circumstance, betrayed by someone he trusted. Others saw him as a negligent owner who had failed to protect his users' funds. The truth, as always, was more complicated than either narrative. In his coastal town, Marcus continued to live under his assumed identity, funding the victim compensation program and watching the industry he had helped build evolve into something more mature and secure. He had paid the ultimate price for his trust in Sarah Martinez, but perhaps his sacrifice had prevented even greater harm. The man who had once been known as the cryptocurrency Kingpin had indeed vanished into air, but his impact on the industry would be felt for years to come. His story served as a reminder that in a world of trustless technology, human trust remained both the greatest asset and the greatest vulnerability. The ocean waves continued to crash against the shore as Marcus closed his laptop and prepared for another day of anonymity. He had lost everything he had built, but he had also helped expose one of the largest financial crimes in history. In the end, that might be legacy enough. Years later, when cryptocurrency historians wrote about the great exchange collapse of the early 2020s, they would struggle to separate fact from legend in the story of Marcus Chen. Some claimed he had been spotted in various countries, always one step ahead of law enforcement. Others insisted he had died in hiding, taking the location of hidden funds to his grave. But the victims who received payments from the anonymous compensation fund knew the truth. Somewhere in the world, the man who had been blamed for their losses was working to make things right, one transaction at a time. It wasn't enough to restore what they had lost, but it was something. The cryptocurrency Kingpin had vanished into air, but his conscience had remained behind, working in the shadows to build something better from the ruins of what had been destroyed. And in an industry where trust was the scarcest commodity of all, that might have been the most valuable legacy he could have left. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to FictionWire Crypto. This is a fictional story created purely for entertainment.